I'm Yukon Jack.
Oh man, that's too funny. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the We Eat Right Show. Happy Halloween, if you're into that kind of stuff. What's going on? How's everybody doing out there? What's going on, Pilled and Rumble? And we're on YouTube now. Please go over there and subscribe. I have the chat here where it's working. I'm sorry about that, True Terran over here. Greetings and salutations to you over there from Wednesday's show with the donation. That for something with the chat was off, so I apologize. And now it's on the screen that you can read. Both YouTube and Rumble are on there, so we can get that. Too bad I couldn't get Pilled on there per se. I'm still trying. So welcome in. Welcome in, my co-host. Yes, happy Halloween, Marshall. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm the guy from what was it, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? And no silver. This guy was, the Yukon Jack guy.
Yukon Jack.
Yeah, the guy was always looking for silver and gold.
Yeah,
anyway, this thing's fucking hot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, is it been cool? We woke up, it was like 60 degrees, 59 degrees, 58 degrees. It was nice today, all day. The windows open last night and yesterday too. The weather has been cool. Drop your temperature in, not your location. Just drop your temperature in where you're at. Let me know what's going on. So what's up? What else is going on? Anything new? Anything interesting?
I turned the heat on last night for a little bit.
The heat? Really? Was that cold?
It went down to like 50.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was a 30-mile-an-hour wind, so
okay.
And it was coming out from the direction where my AC is at, and it goes right through the air conditioner.
Well, I got you. I got you.
And but it was, it's great sleeping weather.
Yeah.
Great.
That's fantastic.
Day, windows open, beautiful. It was like 71.
Yeah, I love getting that fresh air in the house, vacuuming and dusting, getting all that stuff. Because I had bad allergies. I'm always like that. I hope what Trump won. Are you still feeling sick? Are you doing okay? I know you got a sinus infection. How's that working out for you? X-Clear is a good spray. It's a natural spray. It's not the steroid spray or a saline mist. That helps clean out all the gunk too. So I recommend that highly. So tonight's show, Red Line. Now, President Trump had talked about restarting, nuclear testing. I didn't get to cover it. I wasn't here yesterday, but I know he said it yesterday. We're going to go into it deep because I got a bunch of articles and discussions where the Trump card, how it equates to the elimination of the Senate filibuster. It has multiple linguistics to it. I get it. I understand it. But I have really something I want to talk about, and I think it's important for understanding and what President Trump is saying. Decision made. This is about Venezuela. I guess today he was on Air Force One going to Mar-a-Lago saying, that story on Miami Herald, garbage, bullshit, bomb, done. So we'll go over that. Ghost in the White House. Apparently, there's a great article from Liberty Nation that talks about ghosts in the White House, and people have seen ghosts in the White House. So we'll get over that. FBI foiled the terrorist attack, and military residency, and so much more. Welcome in pill.net. Thea, thank you for the 1369 gold pills. God's numbers. Okay. Trump won, gifted the cookie. What's up? Hope you're feeling better. Would USA donate 117 gold pills? Let's F and go. Good to see you. Who else is here? I saw you, Trusty Turnip. What's going on? Good to see you. Thank you so much. Let's see. Who else is in? Curious Cat. What's up, Mark? How you doing? Gifted the cookie. Hello, everyone. Hello back to you. Badfish. That's a new name. What's up? 71 degrees in East Texas. Welcome to the show, Badfish. That's a new name out here. Who else is here? It's popping in. Okay, let's say hello over here. FL John 48 on Rumble. What's up? Yukon Cornelius, Marshall.
That's it. That's the guy.
True Tarrant, man. Again, I'm sorry about Wednesday. Now the chat should be working and stuff, so I apologize. And thank you again for that massive donation on Wednesday and stuff. We are on YouTube, so if you want to go back and forth, subscribe over there. It's not monetized, so if you just want to go over there and play around, see how it is and stuff, you can help us out over here. Share, like, and subscribe. Very important on all the platforms. It's big. It beats the algorithm. That's important. The most important thing, hit the bell so you know when you're notified when the show starts and everything is operational. If you want to tip donate, you can drop us a gold pill or help us out with a Rumble ramp. You can help out Marshall, ko-fi.com/surfdog74. Everybody knows what's going on. Now, the chat is over here on the screen, silhouette, and that's both for YouTube and for Rumble as well. So if there's any issues, I'll be able to see it right away. So you want to say something?
Build those subscriptions up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Once we get to 1,000, I think it's 1,000, right?
It's 1,000, yeah.
That will help the show and it gets monetized or whatever, right?
Yeah, and there's views. You have to go through hours of views and stuff. Tom and I were talking about it today and stuff. Look, see, that's pretty cool. That has that. I might reduce that. I might take that off for a second. Hold on. Let me take that off and lower that so we can read the articles. Yeah, I'm going to take that off and put the articles back up, and then we'll put it up. All right. So this is important. A lot of stuff has been mentioned and discussed. I brought this up yesterday. I said this, in the chat. I was moderating for Thomas's show, and I said, look, they tested something from this Poseidon scenario, which is basically a radioactive tsunami. So Russia tests nuclear-capable Poseidon super torpedo. Let me blow this up. I think this is big. It got overlooked, and a lot of people are suggesting, well, is this part of it? I go, it's possible. These are war games, so to speak. As U.S. President Donald Trump toughened both his rhetoric and his stance on Russia, Putin has publicly flexed his nuclear muscles with their test of a new Buvaritsk cruise missile on October 21st. Nuclear launch drills on October 22nd. There are a few confirmed details about the Poseidon, named after the ancient Greek god of the sea, but is essentially nuclear capable, cross between a torpedo and a drone. Putin, over tea and cakes in a hospital in Moscow with Russian soldiers wounded in Ukraine, said the test had taken place on Tuesday. Okay, so this basically puts forth the notion is that, look, China's doing testing, North Korea still does testing, they're firing missiles. A lot of people are doing testings, all right? And the question is, why aren't we? For 30 years, we haven't done any testing or anything. I will get to that explanation. Beside the new nuclear arms race, Poseidon is the new weapon that has appeared amid what Putin has cast as a global arms race, primarily between U.S., Russia, and China, to modernize and develop their nuclear arsenals. Okay, that's it. That's all we're going to say, because I got more to discuss this. And I have like 3 other articles in there where I'm going to get to it. I'm going to put this up and show you what Rubber Duck says over here on X. And I think this is a good illustration. Yesterday, Trump instructs the War Department to begin testing nuclear weapons. Today, Trump publicly instructs the Senate to initiate the nuclear option. Now, the nuclear option can be equivocated to the Senate filibuster about eliminate, get rid of it. But the Senate pushed back about that. So we're going to still continue on with the shutdown. So we'll see what happens thereafter. Trump has always said that he hated the use of the word nuclear due to the level of destruction he associates with. These are commas. Basically says right here, it says, because of the fact that the Democrats, the choice is to initiate the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster, make America great. So, I mean, really, this is what it's about. He's talking about that. So in one sense, it could be reference to what he's talking about with the nuclear arms race that's heating up, supposedly, or it's about this. Whatever way you want to look at it, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to get to the language. The art of his language is really more impactful in some way, and I'll put this back up. So let me say this, and then we'll get Marshall's take on it. So the messaging here we have, nukes, if you test us, we will use them. He just came back from South Korea with the Chinese meeting. Sounded pretty good overall. So the undertone and connotation is more about visualization rather than optimization. The very essence of deterrence no longer lurks in the shadows, whispered in the dark, nor does it, deterrence, provide a blanket, a warm blanket on a cold, wintry day. It is merely an informal, polite, or informal or polite, or polite in an informal way of making someone decide not to do something to you, when in fact, it's a formal invitation to be attacked, because the severity, credibility that surrounds the threat per se, the nuclear retaliation, is under assault itself. The willingness to use force, one must display credible and viable, proficient arsenal of weaponry to further convince an aggressor that a provoked retaliation is almost a guarantee. But today, or yesterday, Trump was suggesting, in fact, advocating, I believe, that the War Department use of this warfare, not as a projection, but as a renegotiation statement to the world, and unapologetically, the era of surrender is over. And I believe so, because the pushback about this whole thing, I got stuff from Sputnik, the UN is clapped back. Other people are clapping back about this discussion. And I think he's basically saying, because for 30 years, we've been dormant about the testing. And who wanted it? NATO wanted to keep it quiet. They wanted to retreat to their bunkers. You have UN people and stuff, because they wanted to make sure we were weak ineffectual. We didn't have the balls to do something when need be. And I believe watching that movie, I watched the House of Dynamite. Go watch it. It is fantastic. Shows you the impotence, the chaos when an actual operation where an interceptor misses its intended target, 2 of them, and has a trajectory to hit Chicago, and the chaos ensues that they can't stop it. It's crazy. It is nonsensical. And I believe there's something about all of this that we're made to see very soon, Marshall.
You know, when I first read through all this, it almost it this stuff is going on. I agree, it is happening,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost felt like Putin gave Trump some kind of a communication.
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
he kind of it's almost like he said or did this, and then all of a sudden Trump's talking nuclear, what an option, and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of comms going on in there, I think,
Right.
as
But
well
yeah,
as this is all probably really happening. Um,
well,
but I think
he's
there's
basically
more than
saying they're gearing up. When I
yeah,
say the era of surrender is over, and he basically he's fashioning the idea through a renegotiation statement saying we are no longer going to be controlled. We are on our own, and our
right,
trajectory is going this high, and no one can tell us anymore what to do. No one can interrupt us and interfere with us. That's what it looks like. There's a separation that's going on. The era of surrender is over. I think that the idea of the warfare statement, um, not as projection, but as a renegotiation, is very telling. So Donald Trump has trampled on another taboo, and it's a good thing. The president said on True Social that the United States will begin immediately testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis with Russia and China. Um, it's not clear what this means exactly. Trump could be referring to um, Trump can be referring for delivery systems that carry nuclear weapons or weapons themselves. See, that's something to think about. You got to think about that. It's not about putting a warhead on it. It's to make sure that the missiles that are carrying the warhead actually do their job. Okay? So you can test these things without anything being on there and see if they work. Then you attach the warhead to it, and then bingo, bongo, bango. You know, the one thing I saw about that movie, what was it, the House Built on Dynamite? I think it's on Netflix. What's striking about that is that the interceptors that we're selling to Ukraine or given to Ukraine or all these other places, we're running out of these munitions. We're running out of these things right now, and it takes long times to build this up. And one of the parts of the scene of the movie, even though it's fictitious, it's basically saying, well, we don't want to expend all our interceptors in case there's more missiles that are going to come in. So they're already used 2, and they don't know what to do thereafter. So I hearken back to watching just this movie I watched just 2 days ago and understanding what does he mean by doing this? Are we capably ready? I think that's the key. And are we going to have to use something and do something in an eventual future? It's very possible. So it's not clear what he means. Trump could be referring to that delivery system that carry nuclear weapons. Remember, all testing is done pretty much in Las Vegas. I mean, in Nevada. So, I mean, I don't know what else they're going to do about actually exploding these things or not. But I think, like I said, it's more about visualization. And I will get to all the other commentary that we're going to discuss later. The United States conducted more than 1,000 explosive tests during the Cold War. And since then, it's come to be considered a moral imperative that we don't test for a good reason. Obviously, we aren't going to conduct atmospheric tests again, but beginning in the 60s, we carried out these explosive tests on the ground, mostly at a Nevada test site. Assuming the tests are safely controlled and contained, there's no good argument for conducting. And there's nothing immoral about testing, and testing does not necessarily lead to use. If it did, we wouldn't have conducted hundreds of tests and only dropped the atomic bomb twice at the very outset of the nuclear age. It uses computer simulations like to establish that everything is working order. But there's no substitute for explosive tests to ensure that simulations aren't missing anything, especially as our arsenal has changed over the last 30 years. We should have 100% certainty about the safety, security, reliability of our nuclear arsenal, upon which so much of our national security depends on. The argument that testing will raise international tensions doesn't make much sense. What is Russia going to do if we conduct a nuclear test? Invade Ukraine? I think it is an asinine point to say, and I think the New York Post is really making a good point here and saying Why is other countries allowed to do this? Why are they allowed to do it? Why are we not allowed to do it? The UN pushes back about us, but they don't say anything about Russia or China or anybody else that wants to do that. So why are we being held captive from this right now? That's why I said we should not kowtow. We should not genuflect to the New World Order, to the United Nations or NATO. We are in command. We're running the show. Again, the era of surrender is over, and I believe President Trump is signaling that something is going to happen. Like Marshall's saying, the comms are flying all over the place, and this is a kickoff to something. And the idea that we're going to test actual nuclear munitions is illogical. Again, these things are run on supercomputers. Remember the movie Deterrence in 2000? We had like a half Jewish president or something like that that was played by the comedian. And it was a serious movie. It was about Iraq. All right. And what happened at the point of the movie was he dropped a nuclear bomb over it. And then they launched theirs. But then he had to explain to the world why those missiles did not explode, because they were duns. They were sold a bill of goods because they had a teraflop machine that had computations that showed Iraq at the time that they were going to expend these things. Go watch that movie. Great movie, Deterrence too. And the idea is that, look, what President Trump is saying, we have this stuff. And if you test us, we will use them. I believe so. And I believe that the idea is out there because the possibility of an eventual threat is upon us, Marshall.
Yeah, I also think that this is like a signal to the however you want to describe the quote unquote globalists, or these people, the New World Order people,
right?
Is that these countries, China, Russia, and the United States, are saying we are our own countries, and we will do what we do for ourselves because we're independent in our own, just like us and Russia, etc.
Right.
So I think it's also a signal that's, and then this whole financial stuff is getting ready to. There's all kinds of shit going on with that. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff could be kind of like I think conditioned into so many different things. And utilizing the term nuclear option can actually you can draw very, let's just say, similar conclusions to other things that President Trump is saying that's used as the end goal. That you're dropping a bomb on something, so to speak. I dropped the bomb on you. I think that's where President Trump is using, and it can be applied to certain things, not everywhere. So it's not necessarily about this. But since he's instructed the war secretary to move forward with this stuff, then we will probably get missile testing going. Doesn't mean we're going to be exploding, nuclear arsenals in the sky. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be possible. I don't think people want that per se. And I don't think President Trump wants to do that per se. It's not the payload. It's the vehicle that carries the payload to its destination is the more important thing.
I think it was already planned too.
Yeah. U.S. atomic tests could open Pandora's box for nuclear war. This comes from Sputnik, all right? And this is pretty interesting. A nuclear war risks the growing in Washington's apparent readiness to resume nuclear is making it more grave, warns Professor Peter Kutznick, director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Another university, all right, that's liberal, that's BS, that's bullshit. All these tree huggers and peace, love, war, and peace, love, and recycle stuff. These are the same people back in the 90s. Stop the nuclear testing. Stop doing all this stuff. All 9 nuclear powers are modernizing their nuclear arsenals, making them more efficient and more deadly. On top of that, there's pressure to expand nuclear arsenals. To complicate matters first, other countries, including South Korea and Ukraine, are flirting with the idea of developing their own nuclear weapons. Okay, the world is going to go in the wrong direction and become more dangerous. It's already dangerous. You understand? It's already dangerous. And if the results, or if the U.S. resumes nuclear tests, Russia and China will follow suit. They're already doing so. So it's not following suit. It's us catching up. Because for 30 years, we haven't been doing any testing. And the question is why? Have that in the back of your head. Ask yourself why. They actually have more to gain from this than the U.S. does, he says, adding that it would probably take years before the U.S. would be able to conduct a nuclear test as Nevada site has effectively been trophied. Listen, I agree to that point that it's going to take some time. But unless they already have these things already drawn out, ready to go, Well, so the idea that we're not going to do any testing on the vehicles and not the payload per se, because I don't think we need to at the moment. I think that's what we're going to see. And this is going to bring in the discussion again to this dome, this golden dome that President Trump wants to put in the United States or over through North America per se, because he believes in some way there's going to be a threat to us in the future and we're going to need this. And whatever that dome is per se, to shoot down all these vehicles that are going to be, entering our, let's just say, atmosphere in some way or form, you need something like that, something similar to what Israel has per se, that we help build, buy, and sell with our defense contractors. So keep that in mind. At the same time, it would mean the end of 1996 Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which has not been ratified by a majority of nuclear powers. Up until now, the U.S., Russia, and China have abided by it. The last Russian nuclear test took place in 1990. So the reaction to Russia's wonder weapon, the idea of resuming nuclear tests, followed Russia's trials of its cutting-edge weapons. Could the U.S. boast anything like that? Not yet, and it would take years to catch up. I don't think we know what we have. The Residency and the Poseidon missiles are new science fiction, like new generation nuclear delivery systems. You can add that to the Osherek test back in November. Look, they're already testing. Okay? See, give peace a chance. Washington's breaking the de facto moratorium on nuclear tests, and it should be the United States is out of control. See, that type of rhetoric where that interferes and scares people out of their wits, because the fact is they can't focus on what's going on. Do you understand? They're already doing their testing. Why are we not allowed? Why are people telling us don't do any testing? You shouldn't. You have to abide by all these things. Why is it that we can't do this, Marshall? It doesn't make any sense. And I think there is something there. I think we were controlled for this time. Yes, we had some type of scenario that we signed some treaty and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's testing missiles, payloads to explode in the sky or underground. We're not doing that. We're not doing anything. We're going to be testing the vehicles, okay? We're going to test two things: the vehicles that they're going to carry the payloads, and the interceptors and all these other things, Patriot missiles that are designed to defend against any incoming atmospheric object per se, Marshall.
Yeah, it's the we are decoupling from these globalists, or whatever you want to call it. I hate to use a word, but and we're defying. The people want to destroy. These people want to destroy the United States. Just like they're doing with Europe, or they've done with Europe by flooding them with these immigrants.
Yeah.
So this is Trump saying, no, you're not gonna. We're gonna do what we do, and we are our own country, and that's it. So,
Well, here's the thing. Here's the part of that my discussion now. The credibility and severity of the situation that surrounds the threat per se, which is nuclear retaliation, is under assault itself. The idea that we don't have a credible response is understandable, because we haven't been testing. We test these missiles all the time and stuff. We test these interceptors all the time. What's the fail-safe on that? In the movie that they show, which is a house built on dynamite, it says it was like 61%, 51% to 60% effective hitting its target. That's a problem. We need to make sure we're doing more of this testing out there in case something like this happens. And again, the willingness to use force. One must display credible, viable, proficient arsenal weaponry to push back against any aggressor that would think in some way that they can get ahead of us by shooting a missile over here from an unknown place. And I think that's key to understand. I think that people need to understand that the possibility of something like this happening from a rogue, out of control, let's just say terrorist organization, because the likelihood of this coming from some type of superpower in some way or nuclear armed place would be slim and none, because what fool would want to do that knowing that the retaliation of deterrence would be suicide? So it's only the person, like in the sum of all fears. I'm only worried about the person who wants one nuke. And I think that's the key of understanding all this. All right, one more thing about this, and we'll move on. Super D gifted a cookie. Thea gifted a cookie. Hi, Leg. What's up? Gifted a cookie. How you doing? Thank you, Thea, for the foam. Super D gifted a cookie. Highlight gifted the can. And Highlight 71 gifted another cookie. Thank you so much for supporting the platform. I see you over there, Tracer. I see you, Tracer C4. T Savvy, what's going on? It's interesting that the heads of the state are all staying temporarily on military bases. We're going to cover that tonight. Karen Allen's over there on YouTube. Subscribe over there. FL John went over there. Good to see everybody. We're going to cover that. And that is an interesting question of why that is. And they were outed, by the way. T7, they were outed, by the way. And most people don't realize that not only the Atlantic outed them, and other news regs picked that up and spread the stories. Is Trump bluffing over U.S. nuke tests, or is he taking Putin's weapons seriously? I think this is the best article I've seen so far to really balance the narrative. So popcorn in one hand and the red phone in the other. Vladimir Putin now watching America's next move in a nuclear arms race. Like Marshall said, these are comms. They're communicating with each other. All right. They do this. President Trump does that. He meets with Xi. He does that. They do this. Are they working in concert together? Most likely. Probably.
Like, yeah.
I mean, It does seem like they are working in concert to, push back against the global new world order, whatever. All these Satanists, all these monsters, all these demons that have been running the country, running the planet for hundreds of years. First, Putin said that Russia had tested Poseidon, a nuclear torpedo built to be practically indestructible. Following up his comment, his U.S. counterpart ordered the Department of War to begin testing nuclear weapons for the first time in 33 years. Look at that word. Look at that number. So far, the Kremlin has not flinched just yet. After all, Russia will have observed Trump's past behavior and drawn conclusions that one cannot design policy on the basis of a comment by Trump on his pet Twitter substitute, said Kara Giles, a leading analyst on European defense and Russia. Right now, it is a carrot and stick press release of sorts by both Russia and Trump. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to go forward this much longer. If the U.S. actually follows through, big if, the world's two biggest nuclear nations would be re-entering a new arms race. Commenting on speculation following Trump's comments, Giles told Metro, we could see that Trump has said, but what we cannot see is that the U.S. is actually going to do. As always, there are likely to be two different things. I think there is a divergence in this in some way. The messaging is one. That's the key of understanding. I said the visualization of understanding what President Trump is trying to show everybody versus the optimization of trying to redefine and retool these weapons to make them more modern and stuff. I think that's already been done. And I think that we are on some type of trajectory to see some of these things in a real scenario, whether it's, accidental or on purpose in some way to defend this nation. And I believe so. And I think something is being, let's just say, coordinated right now. And I think that the message is received and picked up and people are talking about it, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they're doing. It's really like a big preparation thing.
Right.
And again, we go back to these comms. Trump just got back from Asia. As soon as he gets back after talking to Xi? Maybe was the last guy he talked to before he came back.
Right.
Was Xi of China. So, and then all of a sudden, Putin goes, okay, nuclear button, bing. Then Trump goes, nuclear, we're testing, bing. And then China. So it's all like a triad or some trifecta or whatever you want to call it. But
well, you get the verbiage out there. See, in this one from Town Hall, Schumer shut down President Trump calls on the Senate to go nuclear and eliminate the filibuster. Another way of utilizing the term nuclear in some way. Are we trying to use that to eliminate the filibuster? Is this other language that's being spoke and misinterpreted in so many different ways? I don't think so. I think when he says going nuclear about this could mean that, but he did instruct the Secretary of War to move forward on this warfare statement. And I think it's not projection. And whenever you want to look at this and how you feel about all this stuff, you have to consider that the idea of deterrence, which I think something in some way has a negative connotation to it. When I say it lurks in the shadows, whispered in the dark, and nor does it provide a blanket of warmth on a cold wintry day, it gives you a false hope, a false sense of security that the idea that a bad actor wouldn't try to do what they would do and then blame it on somebody. The idea that a rogue state actor, terrorist, would want to participate into utilizing a radiological or a nuclear bomb on American soil, whether they're going to take full credit for it or blame it on somebody else. The idea of deterrence is over, because if it's going to slip through the cracks and we're not measured for that, then that's the key. I think that's what President Trump is basically pointing us to. So here we are. 8 days after the start, Schumer shut down. Republicans indicated they have not given in yet. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Are people going to chimp out? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen per se. November 5th, we'll get to that. We'll talk about what's going on with that. But we'll see. President Trump is Mar-a-Lago. We'll see how all this stuff turns out and see how people react overall. And I think, is it much ado about nothing? Or we're going to start to see embers of this crazy nonsense, just permeate through. And, I give Mike Johnson a lot of credit and the Republicans for not caving, and even Thune said to President Trump, he's like, yeah, we're not going to do the filibuster. Let them suffer. Let them suffer. They did this. It's up to them to decide to reopen the government. And I like the fact that they didn't cave. It's not just favorable in the sense, because look, there's a lot of rhino cucks in there. All right. They just voted in the Senate. What is it? 52-48 for the Canadian tariffs that they want to just, and that's going to go back to the House, and they voted to cancel all those things. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything. It's got to go to the House, and it's going to be dead on arrival. So all these things are basically nothing. So they're just passing stuff that's going to be dead at the House's door no matter what. And so all they do is got time to do stuff, because no one's really doing anything at the moment. And I think that we'll find out tomorrow once and for all if the shutdown is going to linger on and stuff. And I think it's something there. But I just wanted to show you the rhetoric, the discussion about how nuclear is being utilized everywhere. Everything is now nuclear option, nuclear this. And it's like, why are we so using? Why is there just this 48-hour window of terminology, linguistics, verbiage, whatever you want to call it, of this lexicon that's floating all over the place? Is it because of what President Trump did? Is what Putin did? What are we ratcheting up the noise for? Because it's all noise right now. Yeah, it's a signal to a noise. It's noise now, but what's the signal? I think that's something to think about, Marshall.
Well, it's definitely not a coincidence that all three did this practically one after the other. These three countries, China, Russia, and the
striking,
United
right?
States. Yeah. So there's no what is it? No coincidence, but there's no conspiracies, as it were.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I think a lot of this testing and all this was already planned, but it was set up to where, hey, Putin, Xi, whatever, you guys let me know when you're ready, and then we'll go. Right. Something like that is going on. Something. Yeah, I feel it. That's my theory.
Yeah. So President Trump said Wednesday that his administration will share nuclear propulsion technologies with South Korea to allow its Navy to build at least one nuclear-powered submarine. Interesting. Trump made the major announcement a day after finalizing an agreement that calls for South Korea to invest $350 billion in the U.S. economy as part of a wider trade pact with Seoul. I think this is in defense for the capabilities that North Korea has. And they might have a pretty big arsenal of submarines and stuff. We don't know per se how many they have, but I think they want to build submarines, and they want to give them a nuclear-powered submarine. The U.S. has shared a nuclear propulsion know-how with the U.K. and most recently Australia as part of the 2021 AUKUS agreement that will see the two countries help Australia build a new class of nuclear-powered subs. The sensitive technology has been held secret for decades, but the threat of China's military buildup in the region has led allies to look to buy more advanced weaponry from the United States. So in a social post, Trump said the submarine will be built in Hanwha, Philly shipyard, a commercial yard purchased by South Korean company in 2024. The shipyard is not currently equipped to handle nuclear material or build military ships, given that it's strictly commercial facility. That is interesting, that this all came out of this deal in some way. And this is also, I think, in some way to help South Korea push back against China or maybe North Korea and help in that manner. I think that's why that was a very important, meeting with the South Korean president. I think moving forward in that, there's a lot of embers there. We're sewing up a lot of an Asian, let's just say, flotilla, so to speak. We're working with our partners in that region to make sure there is a deterrent in there, and that's the deterrent is what against the pushback against China. That's what I think. I think that's exactly what it is. I was shocked to see that they're going to do that, but it would make sense in some way, wouldn't you think? I mean, is it a big gamble for President Trump? I mean, do you think it would be a big gamble? I'm sorry.
I mean, it's all part of it's all part of the look. South Korea is going to still be their own country,
Mhm.
and they want to be that way.
Right.
But so does China, and it
Mhm.
goes back to these sovereign nations.
Right.
To me, is what I'm thinking. And it's like there's nothing wrong with them, being for their own place, just like us.
Okay.
We want to be America first,
Yeah.
not some other country.
No, I
So,
mean, yeah, but you want to give technology away to an
well, I mean,
ally. I mean, so they
they're an
can have a
ally.
nuclear powered sub. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well,
understand that. I mean, I guess that's, for the amount of what they're putting into the country. I mean, it is kind of like a quid pro quo, and they are paying for access to get into the country, $350 billion. And then that's not just, that's cash up front, but they're
how much
also,
of it is really real, though?
yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
how much of all this is,
I don't know.
Stranger Things,
There
Brad.
it is. It's very odd, but they're looking to invest in the United States,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
part of the deal was probably of that, or he threw that in there later. I'd have to think that was negotiated in. I wouldn't think
Right.
the United States would be so willing to do that, but there might be a reason why they have to. So Kramer says this. How did we get here? And yes, we're moving
How do
on.
we get to
But
the
how do we
edge
get
of
here?
civil war, revolution, and the greatest nation on the face of the earth? Well, simple. This.
Half of 30-year-olds in 1960 owned a home and were married. Today, only 15% of 30-year-olds own a home and are married. Doesn't matter what the stock market does, doesn't matter what the GDP figures are for this quarter. If that figure does not go from 15% higher and fast, we are in a whole lot of trouble.
You see, that's the subtle way of telling you what I'm about to tell you. Unless you stop allowing these motherfucking politicians and bureaucrats to take all your money and give it to themselves, their friends, and people around the globe, you and your children and grandchildren will never be able to fully experience the American dream. You get it? You understand it now? They are robbing you blind, and you're allowing it to happen. They work for you. The politicians and the bureaucrats don't tell you what's going to happen. You tell them. They are our employees. We don't have to listen to them. The laws they made up, the rules they made up, the regulations they made up were made up to benefit them, not you. You want the American dream? You're going to have to snatch it back out of their motherfucking hands.
You're watching the Kramer Says Project.
I think that's an interesting talking point because look, let's consider this. A lot of people are making this because there's a lot of people that, that are independents that are off the Trump train, so to speak, that were independents or libertarians that are. And, their number one thing is the economy. I mean, basically, Trump's over there doing all these things. It's like, why aren't you here fixing the country? Why aren't you getting it open and stuff like that? But this has nothing to do with President Trump. This is a legislative, congressional thing. They don't want to do the CR. They're holding this up. That's one thing. But what if we were to discover in so many different facets that a lot of this stuff and all these millions and millions of people that are, let's just say living off the tit, so to speak, from SNAP and what have you, EBT, and illegally, let's just say, and fraudulently taking all this money from the government. It's like what? It's a ridiculous amount of money that's like a month. It's ridiculous. But the point being, once you cut that off to see how much that stops and where it is, and while you go through the process of making sure you eliminate these people that are on there who are not deserved of that they are able to work and they choose not to, or they're just fraudulently ripping off the government, which is more than likely. Once you go through that, then you go through the system and the effects of changing the balance, okay? Redirecting it and saying, hey, look, we're going to have to cut this in half. We're probably not going to do this much longer. This has to be redirected in some way because people can't afford these things anymore. But that will also affect the stores like DoorDash, 7-Eleven, Walmart, many other different entities that are getting kickbacks of these subsidies from the government to utilize these EBT cards. And that's when you stop. And that's when the prices could deflate. And I think this really happened around Biden's time between 21 and 22, when we started letting all these people come in the country and stuff. We're saying it's an average of 42, 43 million. It might be more than that, but we don't know how much fraud and waste and abuse inside of this is in the Department of Agriculture. I mean, really right now, when you think about it, I know she was doing the chart today, Brooke Rollins, but people need to understand it's not necessarily the people that are grifting and grafting. It's all the actual places where you can utilize the EBT cards too that are getting subsidies and grifting and grafting simultaneously. That's why it has to be cut, Marshall.
Well, and I think I touched on this the other day.
Yeah.
Is that even worse? What really pisses me off, it should piss all y'all off, is that legal immigrants take 32% of EBT. 32% of legal immigrants are on EBT.
Yeah.
That tells me that our immigration system ain't strict enough.
No.
We are not we're not letting in the good people that, they should have a lot of money in the bank before they move here, before they immigrate to our country. They should have money in the bank. They should have like resumes. They know what they're going to do. They know what they're going to work. And we're not vetting them.
No, I know. And Kramer's making a point. We have a problem right now. There was a period of time that you were able to afford a home, that you were able to buy a car. You were able to work on one thing. Things are too expensive. All right. It's not President Trump's fault that things are through the roof. They had this a long time ago. Yes, inflation's up 3 points. Things are still expensive. Gas is still pricey. It's not like it's falling off everywhere. All right. And it's going to take some time for this to be adjusted. I don't know how long it's going to take. I really don't. But we're all going through to see how bad it is. The reporter here, putting blame aside, what is your strategy to end the shutdown? Schumer, November 1st, people in 30 states will be aghast when they see their bills. They'll cry out. Yeah, because they've never actually paid for groceries before. This is generational, basically dependency that they have not ever paid for, used a credit card or real money, their own money, if they have it, to what? To pay for this. And they'll cry out, and I believe the pressure will force Republicans to negotiate. Let's listen to this. No, they're not.
Strategy to end the shutdown.
Look, on November 1st, people in more than 30 states are going to be aghast when they see their bills, and they're going to cry out. And I believe there will be increased pressure on Republicans to negotiate with us.
Putting blame aside.
See, I saw it in the comment. Yeah, I'm an independent for 50 years because I knew both sides are corrupt and don't care about us. Yeah, of course. I agree with you. I was an independent for a very long time. It wasn't until President Trump came on the scene that I switched my party per se, even though I have my independent feelings out. I still feel that way. I mean, I just look at locally where I'm at, in some, where I'm at right now, the representation, depending on where we're at, from a governor's standpoint to, let's just say, to the local communities and politicians in these local areas and stuff, you can tell what a Democrat city looks like. Just go to St. Pete, just go to St. Pete. They got the tribal flag, the gay pride flag. I don't know if they took that down on the streets. Go to certain areas that are run by Democrats, but I think the governor removed that, and you'll see the difference between Republican cities and towns and Democrat cities and towns. It's quite stark, and that's just about it. I mean, the roads are bad. A lot of things are really telling per se. And for him to say, well, there'll be they're waiting this out. They're trying to see what's going to happen come Saturday. They don't, it's not in their, look, they're going to blame whoever they can. They'll capitulate because they have to. But the point being and stuff, let them do it on their own. Let them be forced to come to the table. It's the first time I've ever seen, and I give the Republicans a lot of credit on this. Not like they're all good. But I have to tell you, Marshall, I really do believe they really stood their ground here in some way. And it also makes it look like there's something else going on here. Because I've never seen the Democrats act like this completely. They've gone off the reservation so much that they would allow, coming in to a 2026 campaign, an election year, that they would allow this to continue on, knowing full well this is going to hurt them from some point of view, unless we look at it logically. But from their base, they're saying, no, blame the Republicans, keep it shut and stuff. But I think they're doing more damage than they think and not realizing behind the scenes something else might be going on. Are they being forced to do this? I mean, seriously, is there a gun being put to their heads and saying, you will keep the shutdown? We will tell you, whoever we are, that when to open up. Is this all theatrical? Because it looks like it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it the other day, that it feels like and it seems like these people are being leveraged to do this. That because normally we would cave,
right?
The rhinos would cave, they would get their way, and we would just continue on with the bullshit. So it really does look like we're in a major shift. There's some major shift going on. And it's like they're being forced to say, we don't give a shit if you have to go to a food pantry and eat real food or whatever.
Eat out of the garbage can. I mean, honestly. Start learning what it's like to be homeless. Start learning what it's like to be our vets who basically live like this, or anybody else that's really disabled or unable to do these things that these people are grifting and grafting up. I think it's hilarious. Brett, is that your porch in Tampa decorated with the stripper skeletons? No, I haven't seen the
stripper skeleton. Oh God. Yeah,
they all look like Anna Paulino.
One is on a pole.
Yeah,
it's hanging on a pole.
That's funny. That's a good one. No, Thea gifted the shades. Thank you so much. What else? Who else?
Dead Man's Party.
Yeah, Dead Man's Party. Yeah, Thea gifted the can. Thank you. Super D gifted the cookie. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, am I muted? Mm-mm. No, I'm not muted. Sorry. I don't know why you think I'm muted, but I'm not muted. So sorry about that. She says that I'm muted. Can everybody hear me? 5 by 5. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, if you can hear me, Marshall, then I'm not. Okay. Here we are. House Republicans tells food stamp recipients stop smoking crack. I just want to show it to you because this is hilarious. This is the funniest thing. This guy is great. Clay Higgins out of Louisiana has a little sympathy for millions of Americans whose food assistance benefits are set to elapse on November 5th. On Saturday, the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program will run out of money and goes down, blah, blah, blah. The government partially shut down. Republicans sponsored a bill. Even the Republicans control the chambers. 53-47, 60 votes are needed to overcome procedural hurdle to move the bill forward. Democrats said they won't support it. Where did he say? Higgins took to X on Thursday and said SNAP beneficiaries should have been stockpiling at least a month's worth of food. Think about it. This is a very measured, I think, response, because when you go to the store, you buy a lot of stuff. You buy canned stuff. You buy stuff that you're not going to utilize right away. You don't just buy a little bit and then that's what you eat. You buy enough where you stockpile it, and then over time, you accumulate it. And with all these people grossly grifting and grafting, off the government, what are they doing? Yeah, they're buying Doritos, potato chips, all this other crap and stuff like that. That's not nutritional. They're not buying canned goods. They're not buying things that they probably should be in case a situation like this happens. But what I do understand is that how he's referencing that for good measure, he tells them stop smoking crack. He goes, yeah. And he's saying it figuratively. Okay. He's saying it in such a way that you're using this to turn this money in to go get cash to go buy drugs. There are 22 million, not everybody, but a good swath of people. There are 22 American households receiving the SNAP, 4,200 per year on average. That's ridiculous. Try to get your head wrapped around how many pantries that you could stock with $4,200 and properly shop groceries. Any American who's been receiving $4,200 per year of groceries does not have at least 1 month of grocery stock, should never receive SNAP. Because, wow, stop smoking crack. See, he didn't say it as a jab saying you're all drug addicts. He's saying stop smoking crack because you are a bunch of morons. You don't know how to use your money, stretch your money, because you're getting free money. And when you get free money that never ends, what happens? You don't understand the concept of balancing a checkbook. You don't understand the balance of what? Of saving. You buy all this stuff, you gobble it down. That's why you're 350 pounds. These people make me sick, and I think, yeah, and that's why we called it that. This is a fraud fast, and I think it's coming. But the way he's put this out, look at this pantry, and I think this is an interesting way. Look, you should have all this stuff, that kind of money to put that in there. See how he has it all in there. I think that's interesting. I think a lot of people do not know how to properly prep, okay, for a coming disaster, a natural disaster, or anything like that. Living in Florida, we all know how to do it, and we do it quite well. I know we do. Over the years, especially if you've been through multiple, lost everything, started over again, it's in the back of your mind every freaking year. Soon as June comes, it's always in the back of my mind, because then I start getting antsy by August. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've got 3 months worth of stock. I mean, and as time goes, I'll start using some of it, but then I'll back it up with newer stuff.
Right.
Kind of rotate it. We're in Florida.
Yeah.
You do that naturally. You do that anyway. So if I have to eat out of a can, I can open a can and eat beans right out of it. I don't have to heat it, even though I have a generator and all that.
Right.
But it really is. I mean, there was
And
a
the
video
generators you can buy nowadays that are affordable. I mean, they have generators.
I got
now.
mine for like $400, man.
Yeah, you can get
It'll
stuff.
run my whole house.
Yeah, I
It'll
mean,
run
there are
everything.
things right now you can get. So if you need these types of things, you should be prepped. You should buy, there's many different ways that you should be preparing for food and stuff. If you go to Costco, you can buy the prepared food there and stuff. And there are many companies that sell the prepared food over
They
time and
last
stuff.
a long time.
And they last I think I have some still. Trusted Turnip, Gift of the Cookie, laugh out loud. Hear of it or thought of you. That's funny. I haven't heard of this. I'll look into it, because a lot of people post that. I'll scour that in Tampa. If you find me the zip code, I'm in 609. So if you let me know, I'm definitely going to find that, because I want to see this video of these stripper skeletons. This is great.
Even canned goods,
Yeah.
they'll have the date on there, best if used by. That doesn't mean it expires.
Yeah.
A can of beans will last probably 20 or 25 years, believe it or not. And you open it, and the first thing you do is smell it. If it smells normal, there ain't nothing wrong with it.
Right.
There ain't nothing wrong with it. And tomorrow, Brett, I'm going to take a trip down to Holly Hill, which is a place you've never heard of, but it's south of Daytona, just about 20 minutes from here. It's kind of the ghetto-y area, and they've got a Walmart, a Supercenter Walmart there. And so I'm going to go there and see what's going on and see what's happening. Just for the hell of it.
You're going to take pictures there? Or
Oh, yeah, I'm going to video and see. I mean, if there's nothing going on, then, I don't think there will be, but I'll go there. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot. First of all, if you're on X making these threats, I mean, you're an idiot. You're putting yourself out there, and you're opening yourself up to lawsuits.
There was a lady showing her kids running out with bananas.
I mean, it's just.
It was an urban family, and a little 3-year-old girl has got a banana running out of the store. I mean, it was. I'm like, they're all running out with shit in their hands.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, it had to be staged, but it was fun.
Right, exactly. No, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, it's not the Tracer C4 says, I don't know anybody that gets more than $100 on their food card. I don't know too many people that have food cards. I mean, I don't, there are probably people that, probably my mom should get one. I mean, she's retired, but she's not, she's not wealthy. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't. What qualifies this? Again, how do these people get these cards from the get go? I mean, how much? I mean, honestly, if you're lying so bad to the government and there's no oversight, like when you cheat on taxes. And here's the thing: all those people would say, "Oh, at least I don't cheat on my taxes." Well, then you're a fucking fool if you didn't, because taxes are a cheat. Okay, and I'm not telling you to do that, but seriously, if you understand the grift of the graft, who cares? They take too much money out anyway. Where do they go? They give it to these people. So, yeah.
And they
I don't
steal
care
your
about
social
that.
And they steal your social security.
Exactly.
They give you $1,300 a month. Why don't they give you all of it with the accrued interest? I would get, for instance, I didn't make much money. I would get $900,000.
Yeah.
Shit, I would probably have something left to give to my, whoever, my relatives or whatever. But they keep your money, Brett. That is disgusting.
I know.
I can't believe nobody ever asked.
It really it pisses me off as well. All right, the Wall Street Journal puts this out. Now, this is part of today's thing about President Trump talking about some decision that was made. But really, this came from the Miami Herald talking about USI striking Venezuela military targets used for drug trafficking. That this basically was going to happen sometime today. We were going to find something either today or tomorrow. The Trump administration identified targets in Venezuela, including military facilities used in smuggling drugs, according to U.S. officials with that matter. So Trump says on the plane to Mar-a-Lago that the story is bunk. He said the Miami Herald story, where everybody's running the Wall Street Journal, is bunk. But I'm showing you what they wrote because here it is. President Trump decides to move forward with strikes. They say the targets would send a clear message to Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. I think it's a show of force, by the way. And the CIA is involved. So he's given the CIA operational control to go in there, maybe kidnap, kill Maduro or any of his people, maybe force him out. I don't know. I don't know how this is playing out in some way. But the idea that, and we're going to get to Tucker Carlson commenting on that, while the president hasn't made any final decision on ordering land strikes, the official said a potential air campaign would focus on targets that sit at the nexus of drug gangs and Maduro regime. Trump and his senior aides have particularly focused on unsettling Maduro as the U.S. military has attacked boats allegedly carrying drugs in the Caribbean. The potential targets under consideration included ports, airports controlled by the military that are allegedly used for drug trafficking. Okay, so the article basically that the Miami Herald and everybody else utilized that and wrote their own pages of crap, insinuated that something was going to happen today, that the military was going to go in and hit these targets, aerial. They were going to shoot. That the CIA was there scouting out, recon. They were doing all this stuff, and they were going to hit these targets as of today. And then, so we're going to announce that, and then these rags put this information out, and then, so, oh yeah, we're just going to put them on blast. Yeah, it didn't make any sense, and Trump shot it down. So here's some questions, all right, in some way. Is Venezuela a Chinese Trojan horse? Does Trump have evidence that connects Maduro to Biden operations of the stolen election of 2020 to 2025? Smartmatic, Dominion, think of those. Did Biden work out a deal with Nicolas Maduro to import a criminal invasion, a criminal insurgency, to allow the cartels entry to operate, even control of American cities? I mean, we already know that some of these cities are captured. We don't know how bad it is. And was this to interfere with the elections going forward, coming up? Increase the narco trafficking, the child trafficking, human trafficking, and to subvert our U.S. agencies. That's the DOJ, FBI, and what have you. How long ago does this date back? Does this go back to Chavez since 2004? Ask yourself that. Think about it. President Trump has information that is so, let's just say, unbelievable. And he had to make a move about this to basically bring down this narco-terrorist state that used to be a country rich in wealth that is working with China behind the scenes. Maduro is asking for help from China and Russia and Iran. Think about that. So you have something in this hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, that needs to be cleaned up and let's just say at a very fast pace. And so the idea that President Trump doesn't have the opportunity or viability, according to Rand Paul and many other people saying, to do what he's got to do to shut down the drug trafficking, the fentanyl, that are basically a major threat to the United States, that are killing Americans on a daily basis, that they can't actually even rest that thought in their mind. What is going on with all Kentucky, let's just say, representatives? Between the House with Massey, you got the senators. I mean, they're all garbage. What is going on with Kentucky? I dropped the chat if you want to call. I dropped the link if you wanted to call in. I'll drop it again. But Marshall, those are the questions I have right now. Does President Trump have information that he's sitting on right now that basically is a Venezuela is a direct threat to the United States and has been through the subversive activities and stuff? And we all know about how many people have been caught. The cartels are still operating inside the United States. They're arresting them. You know, we're going to talk about the FBI foiled a plot in Dearborn, Michigan. But what do you think about that? I mean, where's your sense of understanding what we're talking about right now?
It is a direct connection with China, but I don't want to cast a whole net over the whole of China.
Right.
I don't think it's Xi's China.
No.
He is
the deep state of China.
Yes, just like many other areas, except Russia, because Russia, I don't believe has.
He fired like 7 generals that are out in the Taiwan area that are. He fired some 7. He fired recently in regard to something. We don't know what that was about. I was looking up and I couldn't really find too much information on that. But he fired some generals about that recently. I wonder if they were deep state actors that were looking to start something up.
Yeah, it's this globalist internal war
Mhm.
that we don't see. We don't physically see it. It's not like tanks on the ground and
Right,
people shooting each other with bullets. But yeah, it is the corrupt, just like any other country. Israel has their own deep state as well.
right.
And look, in this regime in China that is part of this, they're part of that in over in Israel and the Middle East and Iran. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely involving that. It is not like, oh, we got to get Maduro out of there,
Right.
because Maduro is nothing but another freaking puppet as well.
Right. And he's controlling this country. This now it's a terrorist state and utilizing its vast resources to operate at a greater, let's just say, expanse of a trafficking state, and we're working with Trinidad and all these other different areas in a negative light, and it really hurts. Let's just say the Southern Hemisphere, and it hurts the local communities down there with all these neighboring countries and stuff. And you know what? It never ends. And I think the problem is President Trump is trying to end this once and for all. And also, you got to think about the next time they want to send a flotilla of people up here again, or they want to send all these people up to try and invade our country, which they're never going to get in anymore. Those days are over. But we'll talk about the future coming up. Tucker goes through reasons of why the U.S. is embarking, on a possible regime change in war in Venezuela. It's because they're communists, not really gay marriage, trans survives, etc., are all illegal in Venezuela. That's it. He makes an interesting point, but let's listen to what he has to say.
It never works, but we're doing it again, apparently. So the question is why? Why are we doing this? Why are we so opposed to Nicolas Maduro? So if you ask someone on the street, random person, why are we against Nicolas Maduro? The answer you're going to get is, who's Nicolas Maduro? But if you find someone in South Florida, for example, who knows who Nicolas Maduro is, who can identify where Venezuela is on a map, that person will almost certainly say, well, because he's a communist or a socialist. He's exceedingly left-wing, and that is true. Nicolas Maduro and his government are very left-wing on economics. Not on social policy, by the way, which is...
So he had Colonel McGregor on the other day talking about this and saying that the Rhino, Cucks, the deep state are all pushing Trump into this bevy of war and saying he's making a huge mistake. As a guy who makes all these peace deals but yet wants war, I haven't heard President Trump saying he wants war. He's asking for him to step down, to be deposed. All right. He's not out there taking him out. We don't know exactly, per se, the reasoning of understanding what it is, other than they become this large-ass narco trafficking state. And there may be more to it, maybe reflective of what's going on in our country. But Tucker here is trying to make a point of why it might not be a good idea to do this, because his opposite, let's put it this way, that would probably take over is completely different. And he uses the trans argument, the gay argument, all these other things. He sets the table with this moral relativism, so to speak, right? And say, well, we're against all that stuff, so why we should be automatically supporting that? Yeah, but if you're the guy that's in charge of a narco-terrorist state, that's the top, capo. You're the guy in charge, okay, that are running this and operating this drug operation and stuff. Isn't that reason enough alone to remove you, especially if you've been a threat to the United States? But I think it's something better. So a lot of people are looking at this saying, is he really making this argument? Let's listen.
Kind of interesting. In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned. It's one of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is on social policy, not defending the regime, just saying, one of the most conservative countries in North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close, which is much smaller, of course. And by the way, the U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place if he were taken out is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela. So to those of you who thought this whole project was globo homo, not crazy, actually. So the average person, when asked, would say, we got to get rid of the guy because his politics are bad. His ideas are bad. We're in favor of democracy. Of course, that's why we're supporting the unelected dictator in Ukraine, because we're for democracy. That's why we had the 2020 election with the drop boxes and the fake mail-in ballots, because we're for democracy. But democracy, because we have a moral obligation to make sure that good government reigns in our hemisphere. That would be the answer. But that's not really a compelling answer. Is that really the reason? So if we see a leader in our hemisphere or anywhere in the world who's dictatorial, who, I don't know, cancels his own citizens, arrest them for saying bad things, we overthrow that person? That's not really the standard. No. Our closest ally in Europe is the UK. And famously, last year, the UK sent 3 times as many people to jail as Russia did for saying naughty things on social media. So the UK, the government of Great Britain under Keir Starmer, is authoritarian. Obviously, it's not a democratic government. You can have a democratic government with censorship by definition, of course. If people can't say what they believe is true, they're not free people. It's not a democracy. They don't own the country. They're under the thumb of a dictator. But there's no move to liberate long-suffering Britons from Keir Starmer. Maybe there should be, but there.
I don't know. What do you think about his point? I mean, I think that what he's. First of all, I think in some way, I get what he's saying, but it kind of falls flat. Only because the idea is that if we're presupposing the idea is that, the reason we shouldn't take him down is because he doesn't allow all the stuff out there that we got rid of, all the woke stuff. He doesn't allow all the gay marriage and all this other stuff and trans and all this stuff. Well, that's the reason why we should keep him in power, even though he's murdering all these people and killing people by allowing his country to be a giant narco operation for terrorists to basically what? Yeah, and someone asked the question about what do the bagels want? And the bagels don't want him either. Obviously, he's a hinder to them as well. But again, Marshall, does his argument fall flat? I mean, him to say, well, yeah, they're a communist regime and stuff, but I think this goes back to 2004 to 2020. I think there's something else there. And I think that this is representative of Smartmatic, Dominion, the reason why they were in power. And I think this is also part of what had happened with the stolen election. And I think there is something else there that we're missing, we're not getting. I think President Trump has information regarding Venezuela, Joe Biden, and some deal that was made out. And I think that Tucker Carlson to say that, well, he's communist, so we should move him. We're not in the business of toppling regimes. At least this president's not. So there's something else there that we're missing. And I think the idea that, again, the panicans are freaking out about the idea. It's like, well, no, we can't go and this. He's not launching missiles in there. All right. He's just blowing up the boats that are carrying the drugs. I don't think anybody cares about that except for Rand Paul. I mean, and the Democrats who say, oh, no, we got to go. No, there should be reparations for that now. But that's how they think, Marshall. And I think right now something is afoot here. We're missing it. Okay, other than the fact that what we're seeing face value, everything else right now does not make any sense. We are missing the point about what's really taking place with Maduro, his regime, his narco trafficking, and other things. Is this just comms from President Trump? In some way, what does he want? Is he trying to force them into a submissive deal in some way? If he stepped down or deposed, I mean. Basically, he's got a bounty on his head for $50 million, dead or alive. So clearly they want this guy out.
Yeah, we're not going to go in and try to make a regime change like they did in Ukraine, like the Democrats did in Ukraine, by starting a whatever revolution and killing everybody. We're just going to make it so uncomfortable for the guy so that he goes to Cuba or something. And this new lady that got the Nobel Prize, she'll probably get elected on their own. They will have the elections, and she will probably win. So, but
I don't know if it's they didn't mention Machado. I mean, and when I was watching him in current, he wasn't mentioning Machado. They were saying somebody else.
Well, then,
okay. I don't know if it's Machado per se, but I mean, look, they're saying the counterpart, who would be his opposite, that would rise to power in some way. Well, the question is, if we have the CIA in there, who is basically, like, let's just say, known for toppling regimes, installing people like they did in Venezuela with Chavez, all right, back in 2004, you would have to think, and kept them there. You think that they know the country really well and had to depose this guy, put someone in there that's is for democracy per se. It's not as communist. Maybe they can get to the root of the matter of stopping this in some way. We don't know what's really taking place in Venezuela. We only get these little oddities in some way. And then the Panikins and a lot of other people, McGregor and Tucker Carlson, and some people are saying, be careful what we're doing down there. They're toppling regimes. They're going to start a war. I don't think we know exactly what's happening and stuff. And a lot of people right now, this is different from Iran. Okay? This is totally different from Iran. Because the whole Iran thing, it's people like, whoa, who are we doing this for? Us or for Israel? You got to consider that. This is something different. This is in our hemisphere. This is in our backyard.
Well, and the voting machines, Dominion, I believe,
Yeah,
generated from there or something.
you're right. Correct. Dominion,
correct.
the software. Exactly.
So there's a lot there. It's not just one thing. And I think they'll make it what Trump is doing. He's making it so that Maduro is going to be so uncomfortable or in a position where he's just going to want to just kind of leave,
Right.
not go in with the CIA and shoot them up and, blow everything. And then all of a sudden, put somebody else there.
You mean they're going to give him an opportunity to be exiled somewhere?
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Or surrender.
Or something of that effect.
I mean, I think, well,
on its own volition, not like go in and
you don't put a $50 million bounty on someone dead or alive. If this guy is, if there's something else that he has done. I mean, obviously he, like Trump has pointed to, he said there's something really ominous that came out of Venezuela with the Tren de Aragua. And I think that many people,
it could involve human trafficking too.
Yeah, and I think that you're not going to let this guy skate. That's the other thing. And just because this guy's friendly to the Christian principles of we don't want any of that trans stuff. We don't, no gay marriage and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
but you're a communist, and we'll look the other. I mean, it's kind of falls flat because considering you're a fucking human trafficker, and if you're a human trafficker, I think that's basically, that's a death sentence. So.
That part with Tucker. That
Yeah,
part with
you're
Tucker. I don't
a
buy
slave
that
trader.
from Tucker.
Yeah, so that's why I think Tucker. I don't know. He shouldn't. I think again showing his side of what. I mean, you're defending Maduro. I mean, that's what you were looking. That's what it looked like, and I didn't like that at all. I typically like Tucker's talking points on a lot of different subjects. I think that he, like the rest of us, are completely just, let's just say, iced out of this conversation. We're not really knowing for certain what is taking place. Only President Trump does and his immediate staff. So in the FBI this morning, FBI thwarted a potential terrorist attack, Dearborn, Michigan, who were allegedly plotting a violent attack over Halloween weekend. This morning, FBI thwarted a potential attack, arrested multiple subjects in Michigan who are allegedly plotting a violent attack over Halloween. More details to come, thanks to the men and women of the FBI and law enforcement and everywhere standing. I mean, what you see here breaking is incredible success. It really doesn't go into too much detail. They arrested, I think, 5 people. The mayor, of course, the mayor is obviously Muslim, and he's saying, well, there's ISIS people, instead of saying they're Muslim. Oh, they're ISIS people that were plotting something. Well, no, you got what is the population there? It's over 109,000. How many of them are Muslim? The majority that live in Dearborn. So you'd think it's a hotbed of what? Activity. And I'm not going to sign that all Muslims are all criminals and stuff in any way. But they're planning this attack. And then we saw that recently that other people that were putting up Halloween stuff that lived there that are non-Muslim, they were getting agitated. They were trying to push back and rip down these ornaments and all these different things that were being posted because they didn't like, they don't like that stuff. They think it's satanic. I think there's a word in Islam for it. I can't think of the name.
Starts with an H. Yeah,
Hamash or something like that. I forget what it is, but
halal.
Anyway,
no, not halal. That's the food.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's something where they don't like this stuff and they think it's satanic. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, it's against your religion, but when you're in this country, the Sharia law stuff. I mean, this is worrisome. This is cumbersome. We should be focused on. I'm glad the FBI is there doing what it is, but again, they're not really telling us anything. That all they had was an FBI operative involved inside this sting, and a lot of the commentary that were expressed either on burner phones or on text messages led them to move in. The vigilance of the FBI prevented what could have been a tragic attack. We don't know what kind of attack. The Bureau has reported increased surveillance and intelligence monitoring across several states during Halloween weekend, as they should. How about Chicago? You should reinforce that. But this is what real enforcement looks like. Okay. Proactive, relentless, and focused on saving lives. Okay. But I'll say, Dan and Cash, have you come up any new information regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination? No. And if they did, they're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us. They're just not. And I don't understand why this is such a dead stick. I mean, to impede, Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of DNI, her underling, Joe Kent, the other day, looking into this in some way. And then they had to backtrack on that and said, well, it wasn't we were impeding. We were working together. It's just, I think, in some way that Mr. Kent went outside bounds and he didn't necessarily work with us because it's an open investigation. Okay, if you buy that, I'm not buying that anyway. So protecting the homeland is a top priority. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, if it follows a series of intelligence briefings of potential lone wolf attacks inspired overseas extremist propaganda, the administration has been expanding intelligence sharing between federal and local agencies, reasserting, this is all fine and dandy. I'm all good with that. But I want to know more specifics. It's kind of like cut and dry. They're not really telling you too much. So, Marshall, your thoughts on it? And, are we going to get the governor of Michigan going to do the press conference, just like the Governor Cox of Utah doing the press conference of Charlie Kirk's murder? I mean, honestly, what do we have to get information? It's like you got to pull teeth from these guys.
Yeah, I think they want to keep the narrative the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't want, it's going to stay this way, and we're not going to know.
No, we're not.
We're not going to know.
Yeah.
They've made that very clear. You are not going to know. And that's just, it's frustrating.
You only know when I tell you,
Right. You're on a need to know basis, basically. And, I just, once you get to that point, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and wear yourself out, just beating your head against a wall. So at some point, you got to say to yourself, you know what? I need to focus on some other shit.
Exactly. Listen, I don't disagree. It's that you could start to see that with Charlie Kirk and these types of things that they're just basically leaving out information on the table.
None of it's believable.
Yeah, I don't.
We know that.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna tell me after what happened with Charlie Kirk that you never gave a formal press conference. By the way, you let Governor Cox run this thing. I've never seen anybody ever do this and actually have police or FBI actually really do a formal thing about it. They didn't. They just collected the evidence, sent it to the prosecution. It's in discovery now, and that's it. And then now they're saying that the cameras are not going to be there. But again, this whole thing thwarted a terrorist attack. Well, if you don't tell us and you're not specific and you don't break it down, it leaves a lot of things open-ended. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're putting shit out there to lie and make up. Now, there was pictures, there's videos of that. I saw it in other stuff, but what type of attack? Can you tell us? Should we prepare for something else? Are they monitoring other things? You would want to warn the public, be wary about future things in cases like this. Or is this an isolated incident? Because the article mentioned lone wolf attacks. So comedian Tim Dillon claims Palantir founder Peter Thiel is quietly trying to buy off major social media influencers. Wow, what a shocker here.
Yeah.
On both the right and the left as part of a broader effort to position J.D. Vance for the presidency in 2028. Listen to this. And now let me just say this. Okay. They're buying people from both sides. You could start to see the evolution of all these different things. Listen to what he has to say. This is crazy.
If you have not one reservation about what's going on over there, I'm not saying you have to feel one way or another way, but if you don't have any if you have no reservations about what's happening with all these kids getting killed, I don't know, I can't trust you. If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information,
He's talking about the suicides that are happening on these chat box and all these different things that people are offering themselves and killing themselves. There's lawsuits out. They dropped all this stuff that's it's out. He's mentioning this. You have Peter Thiel talks about the Antichrist like every other day, doing a 4-part series. Lafayette, how much did you get, Brett? How much did I get from what?
$7,000, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. No. I didn't get that. I
Shared
got
some of it with me.
I got $666 from the Antichrist. That's him. Yeah, and I'm like, no. It was funny. I got the phone call and was watching The Exorcist. So think about that.
Oh God.
No, but it's hilarious.
Great
Yeah,
movie.
left and right and stuff like that. You could tell. See, now listen what he says in this, because a lot of you got these chat bot programs that are basically telling them to kill people and stuff, and this is what he's talking about.
I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
They try to buy me. My pussy costs a lot of money. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. I've been invited to Teal's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them.
Wow.
Or whatever, The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? No, thanks. We'd like to discuss dinner. We discuss the media and culture. No, thanks. Appreciate it. That's fine. Don't need here's what I'm doing every week. I'm discussing the media. Hey, good news. I have a show. You can listen to it. You can listen to it if you're curious about, but I've been to some of these places. I've sat in these houses in Austin with these tech people, and I know what they want, and I know what they want me to go out and cheerlead for and say, well, it's actually a great idea, and there's probably a lot of money in it. There's probably a lot of money, and I just can't do it. It's not because I'm some great moral I wouldn't be good at it. I'd be terrible at coming on here going, well, the good thing about the list. Well, no, if you actually think about the list this way, all my people that listen every week go, what the fuck happened to him? What the fuck happened to him?
And I think that's a good point, because you could tell people the way they act, how much has changed and who has changed. Just listen to how people speak and talk, and then you'll understand what he's talking about. You go watch these platforms and these shows with these big names, and you start to wonder who controls them, who owns them. Listen to their rhetoric and stuff.
So my prediction, and I don't want to name names because I don't know, but my prediction is you're going to see a lot of people over the next 6 months start thinking this list's a great idea. They're going to start telling you how great this is and how it's about terrorism. That's that'll start going, well, it's a terror. Have you heard? It's terrorism This is going to happen.
That's so funny. And I think he's right. They're going to use this in some way as a pejorative to pressure some of these big people and say, look, you have a responsibility. You have a duty. Oh, and by the way, we're going to pay you $25,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $60,000 a month, $100,000 a month. We're going to pay you a lot of money. But this is about duty and responsibility and America. And now on both sides are being controlled. Now you can start to see. We already know with one country buying off people, the bagel land buying off all the bagels and Bialys. That's what they're doing. Thea donated 300 gold pills. Senior Polo gift of the shades. Good. The left buys off influencers all the time. Yeah, but what he's saying right now is that Peter Thiel and people from Palantir are purchasing people from all over. Purchasing people. Think about that as a concept. Purchasing influencers for a narrative, a discussion. Super D donate 177 gold pills. Thank you so much. Wood USA dropping 517. Need more gold pill love support for the stream. Thank you so much for always supporting the platform. Thea gifted a cookie. Thank you for always supporting the platform. Who else is here? Okay. Yeah. If you want to help out the show, like you're dropping gold pills and stuff, that's fantastic. You can tip donate, or you can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Look, there's something to this. We're starting to see that this is the problem that's going on X. We're starting to see a lot of people, certain groups of people that are being called out.
Yep.
Certain people on X that are blocking certain people, like War Clandestine. He's just blocking everybody, saying stuff. They're saying he's bought. I don't know. I don't really care. It doesn't even matter anymore. But when you go through these machinations, you start to wonder, at least when I watch these shows, or anybody out there, Marshall, that's what's concerning to me. I think about, I'm not worried about it. I'm not a big target. I don't have a big platform at all. But the people that do have big platforms out there, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 that are out there, we're talking like levels up there. I mean, you can make the argument, who pays Candace Owens' salary? Like 5 million people. So, I mean, look, keep that in mind. I mean, look what she's saying these days. So, not everything is positive that's coming out in these areas. And you have to be skeptical in a lot of ways, what you're listening to, what you're watching. And you have to be careful about what you're ingesting. Like, I'll see stuff and I'll run by it and I get very, very concerned. I'm like, I don't want to touch this. I want to avoid this like the plague, So, I mean, that's the problem. You just don't know anymore, Marshall. At least you feel like everything is fugazi.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, one of the things that they do over in Sheckleville is they like to use both sides to go against each other. So they will buy up both sides. And what I'm seeing online now is all these people are attacking Tucker because he interviewed Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
They're attacking
which is wrong, and the Heritage Foundation had to come out and push back about it.
Yeah, and Nick Fuentes he offered to debate this one girl who's a pro-shekel person, and she won't do it. And I'm like, well, why won't you do it?
Yeah.
Because he's right. I mean, he might come off as brash or whatever. He's not being anti-Semitic. He's telling the truth.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. It's two different things.
Were you surprised about the Heritage Foundation coming out and supporting Tucker and Fuentes on there and stuff? Because, look, all he did was come out and say, look, aren't we supposed to be the party that supports free speech? When did we become the party of that, I don't like what he's saying, free speech? Or I don't like what she's saying over here, free speech? I always say, hey, say whatever you want. All right? Even if you want to criticize me, that's fine. But careful about how you apply it. Yes, things have consequences. I get it. I understand that in general. But people should not. We went through this with COVID. We went through this with everything being debanked, deplatformed, all this stuff. We can no longer afford that type of attitude to creep back in. And now that people are being bought off left and right, or at least the appearance of what is popping up even further, it is really disconcerting. Because now they're not silencing your speech, they're buying your speech. That's what it is. They're buying their speech that's going to be installed. You're going to listen, goop it up, swallow it, garbage pail it, and then you're going to what? You're going to play it back in your mind? Are you going to listen to those people? Are you strong enough to push back from paid influencers who are trying to control you? Supplant a certain etiquette into your thought process.
I have to unfollow them, man. I mean, and a lot of them do follow me, but I'm just like, man, I can't do this. They're not going to know I unfollow them, but I'm going to unfollow them. I'm not going to even argue with them.
Right.
It just, I can't, it really is really bizarre, Brett, really bizarre and sickening.
So Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance is rug-pulling Palantir. So he was at Turning Point, and I have to tell you right now, I watched a lot of the clips and stuff, and this one, because it goes with what I'm talking about, but I had many more. Yes, there's a lot of questions about Erica Kirk coming out in leather pants. Some of her commentary, which just caught me completely. Just what are you saying? And then J.D. Vance, some of his commentary. Some was good, some was like, look, it's something we say all the time on this platform and stuff. They're trying to market and sell J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio as a package deal come 2028. But I have to tell you right now is that I truly believe, and I'm not alone with this, that the Big Tent MAGA that we all are, there are many people that have different thoughts about that. Many people have different thoughts about if there's going to be a multitude of primary challengers. And I would hope, Marshall, that there is to give the plurality to the people of what they deserve if Donald Trump is not going to be there and they're not going to allow him to get his 2 more years from a stolen election. Let me continue with this.
Hello, Vice President Vance.
How you doing?
Good. I have a question. Do you condone large private corporations such as Palantir hoarding data caches on U.S. citizens?
No, I don't condone it. And here's the thing. So I get asked about Palantir a
There we
lot
go.
because there's this internet meme out there that somehow I am super in bed with Palantir. And here's the thing that I'd say about this. Palantir is a private company. They sometimes do a useful service, and sometimes they're going to do things that we don't like. You should be demanding that your representatives do 2 things when it comes to Palantir.
He's speaking at Nick Fuentes and some other people too, for a lot of different reasons. But there is a connection between JD Vance and Palantir. How deep it goes, how wide it goes. Well, you have to be the arbiter of that yourself. You'll have to read a lot of articles. I don't always believe what Nick Fuentes says. Okay. I mean, do I agree with some of the things he says? I don't know how deep this is with Palantir. He calls them out. He's calling them out now. Maybe he's doing that so he can separate himself from this question. But it doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling knowing full well his connection to them and what they do as a database collector. But let's continue on. Data mining collector.
Palantir or when it comes to any other technology company. Number 1, protecting your data. What's going on with artificial intelligence is going to mean that there are massive inducements to steal your data, to harvest it, and to use it against you to sell digital advertisements. That is not what I believe in, and I've been fighting against it, whether it's Palantir or any other technology company, literally before I ran for office. When I ran for office, I was criticized by Republicans in my Republican Senate primary because I was talking then about Google and Facebook harvesting our data. It's unacceptable. I don't care who does it. I don't want them to do it. Number 2, and this is also very important. What's going on with artificial intelligence, we got to be worried about large-scale surveillance, okay? Everything. You asked about Palantir. Do you know that every time you make a credit card transaction, the credit card companies are collecting data on how you spend your money? Do you know that every time you linger over a link on the internet for more than a half second, the search engines are collecting data on you so that they can sell you advertisements? One of the biggest questions for American policy over the next 10 years is how to ensure that you are a sovereign citizen. And you cannot be a sovereign citizen if any private corporation or any government can steal something from you that belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's a great illustration. I like his let's just say explanation. I think he answered the young gentleman's question. I think it was spot on. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't automatically disassociate my thought process about how I feel or his connection in some way. I'm worried about Vance. I'm sure, how we viewed him before when he was a senator, didn't like Trump, and all of a sudden now he's the vice president. That caught everybody off guard. There's also something to say, and I'll show you this video and stuff. But Marshall, what's your take about this? I mean, does this give you any? I mean, are you comfortable with Vance and stuff in some way? I mean, does that basically end the discussion, or is there room for doubt still?
No, there's plenty of room for doubts.
Right.
I personally, I'm just not. I like him as vice president. He's doing a good job and all that. But I really just do not like the idea of Vance and Rubio going on a ticket.
How was that MAGA? How was that MAGA? I mean,
not to me.
That's like Rhino. That's Rhino Nation. At least that formerly was Rhino Nation.
I love Rubio too. He's doing a great job. But that's it is what it is now. But am I going to take the chance and roll the dice on these two guys?
It's tough.
I don't
tough
know.
after what we've dealt with.
I don't even know Vance.
Yeah, and I think that's the other problem. Exactly. I mean, we've had 10 years of Donald Trump. Okay, pretty much in your grill. And I think everybody.
Jr., man.
Yeah, look. Exactly. Thea gifted the ship. Thank you so much. Tracer C4. My mom worked for her whole life, retired because she's got ill. She gets $23 a month food benefit. It's insane how some get thousands. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And They probably steal it. They grift it. They graft it. It's off someone's fake Social Security. All of it is garbage. Yeah, I don't like I don't like her body language either. Who wears leather pants to a TP USA event? You're the CEO of this company. And here's the other thing. I'm concerned about TP USA's data mining operation. Are they working with Palantir? Are they working with somebody behind the scenes to collect all this information of these young men and women that are going to colleges, okay, that are attending these things in mass droves to sign up? Think about that.
Have they been co-opted?
Have they been co-opted? That's a good point.
I mean, that's a scary thought, man.
It's a very scary thought. And who's it co-opted for? I mean, at least you see that generation of Gen Z coming up there that are basically expressing their point of view, their opinion, pushing back against Tucker, pushing back against J.D. Vance, asking right questions, asking informed questions. Senor Polo, gifted a cookie. If Trump trusts Vance to be his vice president, shouldn't we trust him? No, not necessarily.
And the kids will start.
Wait.
Sorry,
Let me just say this, Senor Polo. Listen to your statement. I'm not criticizing you, but listen to what you're saying. Senor Polo gifted the cookie. If Trump trusts Vance to be his vice president, shouldn't we trust him? Well, just because Trump trusted many different people, Bill Barr, I go back to the first term of President Trump. Of all the people that were in there, Jeff Sessions, how'd that go? You could go through a list of people that were in that first administration that he trusted to do their job. Secretaries, go through the list and tell me how it worked out. Defense secretaries, chief of staffs. Look how that all turned out. They were all knifing him in the back. So just because Trump trusts Vance doesn't mean he's knighting him, so to speak, because he's had multiple opportunities in that first term where a lot of his cabinet members that were going through, like a turnstile, were not good. They were bad people. And whether that they were purposely picked to put in there or he was led astray, nonetheless, and recover that. And look what happened with the Russia gate that fell in there, and they all backstabbed him. So just because Trump trusts him now doesn't mean that you have to trust him, because Trump could be wrong, as we've seen in the first term. I hope that point is valid. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Trump is a human being just like everybody else. So, look. And then also,
look at Mike Pence. Great one, Theo.
Yeah, exactly. And just like the other day on the plane when he was flying back from Asia, when he said, I've got these great guys with Rubio and Vance. Mm-hmm. Well, Trump also, we know this, is that Trump also says a lot of things. He does say things for a reason. He doesn't just give it all up and tell you and just show you all his, cards. Mm-hmm. He likes to say things to kind of lead you to a way. And this guy, Stephen Miller, I would trust him more than those other guys, man.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy, and he's in hiding right now because of what's going on. Alphabet, Omega Pill. Only groypers are going to start asking questions at these events. I agree. And they're going to ask intelligent questions because they do. And that's fine. And I don't care that they associate as a groyper unless at least they're asking the questions. That's the most important thing. Ask the question. Get the question. You might not like the answer, but get the question out. Get the question out so everybody can hear it. That is the most important thing. That's why I was trying to say what I was saying to Senor Polo. It's not a knock on you. I think it's clear that just because President Trump anoints somebody or gives them, look at Byron Donalds. Okay, we'll use him as an example. President Trump put his hand on him. He's basically going to be the next governor of Florida. Okay. Is he going to work out? Is he going to be better than what we have right now? See, the discussion about him just because he's hat tipping him and saying, yeah, he'll be your next governor. He did that with DeSantis. Do you like DeSantis? Was DeSantis a bad governor? Ask these questions in context. How did it work out for Florida or Floridians with DeSantis? Yeah, Pence was chosen for Trump. Trump won. Yes, exactly. He was forced to do it by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
He was forced to do it. Either you take him or that's it. Remember the deal with Ted Cruz? That was the deal. They had to sell this. So let's move forward. Trump cabinet members moving into military housing due to violence. So basically, you got a number of these people. You got, in August, Washington Post reported this came also from The Atlantic. Kristi Noem has been living rent-free on a military base. Yeah. Well, what happened to her? She's had multiple things happen to her. Her purse was stolen. She's also had death threats. Her car was hit. The spokesman Tricia McLaughlin said it came as a result of Noem being horribly doxxed and targeted. To this point, she was no longer able to save. Look, you have to protect these people. Okay, I don't care what you think about it. If she's living rent-free on the base, well, you know what? It's because you people are crazy. And anybody who's sitting there saying she shouldn't do it at the taxpayer's expense, too bad. As noted in the report, the house she moved into, a joint base at Acacia Bowling, is normally reserved for top Navy admirals. Okay, so you have those in there because they secret clearance. According to Navy, the Atlantic, Noem isn't the only one. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, White House Deputy Chief Stephen Miller, and a number of others. Why don't you out them? Okay, so you have people waiting for them and stuff. They get driven around. They have security. Stephen Miller joined a growing list of senior Trump administration political appointees. I wonder why. At least 6, by our count, living in Washington-era military housing, where they're shielded not just from potential violence, but also from protests. It's an ominous marker of the nation's polarization, to which the Trump administration has itself contributed, but that some of the top public servants have felt a need to separate themselves from public. The civilian officials can now depend on the U.S. military to augment their personal security. I wonder why. But so many have made that move that are now straining the availability of the housing for the nation's top uniformed officers. Kristi Noem, Homeland Secretary, moved out of her D.C. apartment and in the home designated for the Coast Guard commandant on the Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, across the river from the Capitol. And after the Daily Mail described where she lived, both Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Peggy Hegseth live in General's Row at Fort McNair, an Army enclave along the Anacostia River, according to the officials from the State and Defense Department. Okay. So, look, I know the Atlantic had this big drawn out article and stuff like that, and they were actually giving them locations and stuff, which I think that's, so what? You're basically painting them targets. You're the ones who what? Threatened them, went after them. And if Charlie Kirk is not an example of understanding what death threats are, well, then there you go. Look, they tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh, a Supreme Court justice. They went to his house. They convicted that guy. He's doing what? 6 years. How is that even possible? Bringing loaded weapons there with death threats to kill him? Look, if the media is going to spin this like, oh, they're hiding. No, because when shit goes down, I can tell you right now, you're not going to see half this cabinet. A lot of these people are going to be contingently in some COG, or if there's another COG behind the scenes that are behind them that are working to keep them safe, you're not going to know about those operations. But the idea that people are like, well, I don't know why. What is this? What is this? This is ridiculous. It's not fair. Man, we should all be lucky in some way that these people are being protected. Because if you start seeing these people being picked off one another, we're already, like I said, we're already in the war. We're in the Civil War right now. Don't tell me we're not. I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, you say de facto. Yeah, I say de facto here, and stuff like that. But we're in the thick of this. We don't know where this is going. And after tomorrow, this could tick up. This could lead into other things. The AP reports, Marshall, that they're investigating BLM, the top people, for fraud. Well, it's about time. Seriously, it's about time. All right, moving forward.
Man, well, I want to say that this story here,
Yeah.
I think, is the biggest news of the day. I think it's
so.
the biggest news of the day.
Yeah.
Because the key phrase that you just said a minute ago is when the shit goes down.
Yeah.
And I think it was Curious Cat, said something about, you're damn right.
Yeah.
Something's about to go down. And this was the smartest fucking move. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Smartest move. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I hope they build them a mansion for each one of them to live in over there.
Yeah, I think something is that. Look, it is a sign of the
getting ready
times.
to happen. Man.
Something's getting ready to happen. It's going to gin up, and you're going to see a lot of the people spread out.
And they've got
They'll
the
have a
rapid
lot of people
response teams. I think you've got a story on that. I don't know if you've got that.
I did. So here's one I want to show you. This was the. All right. So November 5th is scheduled to be the beginning of the communist revolution and insurrection to drive the duly elected president out of office. They are deadly serious.
Said that things are so bad in Washington, D.C., that Democrat leaders aren't talking to anybody. They're not talking to their caucus. They're not talking to Republicans. They're not talking to anybody. And I think now we know why. I'm going to show you 2 clips. The first one is going to help you understand what they're terrified of. And the second one is going to help you understand why they're not budging and why they fully intend on seeing SNAP benefits completely eliminated, at least for the month of November. They need people in the streets.
A friend just said she'd be happy if I died. So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this shit, or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. Period.
There you go. That is one of the biggest podcasters on the radical left that exists today, a woman by the name of Jennifer Welch. And her show, her opinions are disgusting.
Yeah.
And there you have it. She is threatening the Democrats that unless they get on board with the attitude that it is okay to assassinate your political opponents, they're coming after them next. The other piece of this that you have to understand is that the Democrats have no intention on moving at all on the government shutdown until they get enough people that are hungry and angry and are willing to get into the streets. You see, a few weeks ago, when the No Kings protest failed so spectacularly to get the numbers and the diversity that they needed into the streets to justify the $300 million that they spent, it sucked so much oxygen out of the room that most people weren't paying attention to the fact that there's another set of protests scheduled to start on November 5th, this time by an organization called Refuse Fascism that was started by a guy that considers himself a revolutionary communist. And we have some leaked audio from a planning session to help you understand exactly what they're planning starting November 5th and why they need people so riled up and angry.
Isn't that the election day for the mayoral race with Mondami? November 5th? I think so. Isn't it? I think it is. So is it tied coincidentally? Yeah, I think so. You have that race. There's a couple of other races too that are out there. Isn't it in New Jersey with Ciccarelli? I think that's November 5th.
To get
no,
there.
it's the 4th.
It's the 4th. Okay.
What happens right now? Organizing millions of people to get to Washington, D.C., stand and surround the White House, surround the Capitol building, surround the illegitimate fascist past Supreme Court, and not stop until the Trump regime is driven from power. We start on the 5th, we go to the 6th, we go to the 7th, we go to the 8th. We keep pushing every day, building and growing our numbers until masses of people are standing around the White House, around the Capitol building, around this fascist and packed Supreme Court until we drive the Trump fascist regime from power.
They have planned an event to start on the 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump's reelection, and they think that if they allow this government shutdown to continue, enough people will be so upset and hungry that they'll join them in surrounding the White House, the Capitol, and the Supreme Court until they force the Trump administration to leave. This, folks, is an actual insurrection.
Yep.
This, folks, is an actual sedition. Folks, this is what the beginning of a violent revolution looks like.
And you know what the funniest thing, remember in this first term where they burned down the church and the Secret Service had to hold them back, the Capitol Police and all that, and President Trump walked out the next day holding the Bible up after the burned church? They're going to try and push this. You know what? I want to sit back and see how many people are going to get shot. Because let's face it, you're just inviting the violence. You're inviting it. These aren't protests. These aren't peaceful assemblies. This is mob violence. This is insurrectionists. This is worse. This is worse. We are in a civil war. I don't even say de facto anymore. We are in it. And it's just basically bubbling to the top because they don't get their way. They stamp their feet. They go on X bitching and moaning. They're like, I'm not getting any money, so you're not going to live. I'm just going to steal shopping carts. I'm going to attack Whitey. Always blame everybody else but yourself. Yeah. you know what? At this point, you know, you might as well just sit back and watch the chaos just unfold. And you know what? You should have well, I'm not going to say, but you know, you probably should have some type of bingo charts out there, because I can tell you right now, there might be some things that are going to happen that are basically that you're going to see.
We need a pool, a betting pool. You know, we need a little, because I think this is why they moved. This is why they moved on to those bases.
Yeah, I think so.
And
too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump stays in Mar-a-Lago or somewhere else.
I was thinking the same way. I mean, this is
what,
November 5th is what, Tuesday? Is that Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday, November 5th.
If the 5th is Wednesday, I believe.
Oh, the 5th is Wednesday. Is he going to come back?
The 4th.
Yeah, I mean, you think it's odd that he went to Mar-a-Lago for this holiday weekend? No, they're having a party and stuff, but let's see if he comes back. And if he does come back, well, I think that he'll basically incite that more. There'll be more, let's just say, geared up and geeked up to do this. Look at this. Whitehouse ghosts. Legend has its spirits haunt the executive mansion's historical hall. So I just want to talk a little bit about that because, you know, it's Halloween and stuff. Since 1800, the White House has been home to every president of the United States and family, but the legend has it that commander-in-chief isn't the only one occupying the executive mansion. Behind the white columns, stories, haunted rooms, spectral presidents, and even the apparition of a British soldier, among other ghosts. White House ghosts, according to the White House Historical Association, the ghosts are nearly a dozen dead people have appeared inside or near the famous mansion. Wow. The ghost president of Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated in April 14, 1865, has been seen in the Lincoln bedroom and the Yellow Oval Room. Both First Lady Grace Coolidge, and Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands said they saw Lincoln's ghost. Wow. Witnesses, including Jack Lady Mary Todd Lincoln, claimed to have heard President Andrew Jackson laughing, stomping, and swearing near the Queen's bedroom. President and founding father Thomas Jefferson has reportedly been seen playing the violin in the Yellow Oval Room. The First Lady, Dolly Madison, is known to take care of the Rose Garden, and William Henry Harrison, the first president to die in the White House, repeatedly haunts the attic. While President John Tyler haunts the Blue Room, it's not just famous historical figures who allegedly haunt the White House. Unnamed British soldier who died during the War of 1812 roams the White House grounds holding a torch. The White House Historical Association said David Burns, who once owned the land in which the White House was built, has been seen in the Yellow Oval Room. One of the most frightening house guest stories, White House ghost stories, took place in 1911 when the spirit of an unidentified 15-year-old boy dubbed the Thing greatly frightened William Taft. Wow, Howard Taft, domestic staff, the White House Historical Association. President Taft's military aide, Major Archibald Butt, wrote to his sister Clara, the ghost, it seems, is a young boy about 14 or 15. They say that the first knowledge, one of the presence of the Thing, is a slight pressure on the shoulder, as if someone were leaning over your shoulder to see what you're doing. President Taft ordered Butt to tell the White House staff that the first member to repeat stories about the Thing would be fired. Wow, so he was that freaking scared about that. What do you think about that? It's interesting. It's not a surprise. All right, let me give you a little trivia because let's have a little fun with this. What is the most haunted state in the Union?
Virginia? I don't know.
Marshall says Virginia. Let me know in the chat.
Only because so many founders are.
Right. But let me know. That's a good point. What's the most haunted state in the Union?
I know the most witchiest, the most witches.
Yeah. But if you know it, let me know in the chat. It's New York. You know what the second is? Texas. Now, I've been to San Antonio. And I can tell you, we stayed at this old turn of the century, beautiful hotel. Obviously done wood and whatever. And, we were told they didn't have like a 13th or 14th floor because there was a massive murder there. And the ghost of this person that was killed haunts these areas. Like, they don't have a 13th floor because, obviously, but the 14th floor they didn't have. It's haunted. They didn't have that. So we stayed, I think we were on the 15th floor. And then we had my other Cavalier at the time. And so we went out for drinks to eat, walk around the river, whatever it is, that river area around San Antonio. We come back, and the dog is freaking crying in the suitcase, just kowtowing, like panting heavy and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's wrong? We took him out walking around and stuff. He was scared. He wouldn't leave us alone. He was like everywhere. And I had to believe that maybe that's true, that the presence of that ghost was still there, and he sensed it because he was freaking out the whole time we were there until we left. Marshall, any thoughts like that? Have you ever
Like
experienced
The Shining.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, I know.
No, I watched the Halloween thing last night.
Mhm.
It's always fun. I like to watch when Trump and Melania,
Mhm.
and he did it again. There's a video of it. But
Yeah.
last year, or in his previous administration at Halloween, he put the chocolate candy bar on the head of a minion.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then this time he put it on the head of somebody that looked like a light,
Yeah.
looked like a light lampshade. And he
Mhm.
put it on the head, and Melania's all laughing. Yeah, it's fun, I mean,
Yeah, I know. It was cool that he did that. I mean, come back from a long trip,
yeah.
and then you go
really.
and I mean, it's just insane.
After all that, I couldn't believe he did that. After all that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that you would do that. And then here, let me see. I think I have. They did like the slow motion thing. It's pretty nice how they did it. I like how they do these. Here, let's try it. I like. Fall. And I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it a lot. Music. Not scary.
Yeah, they'll show the kid
not
with
demonic.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Show the lampshade kid that he put the. There it is. He put.
I don't know if he puts it on.
his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish
it's not. It's cute that they did it, but I kind of like the way they did it this year and stuff. And I think there's a reason why he left out all the cringier stuff, and I think the spiritual stuff in some way. And I think and it's perfectly classic autumn, fall, and I think they did a great job. We'll play one more thing before I get out of here. Let me play these two things and then we're out of here. Let me see.
No trannies with their boobies.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, the fact they didn't have some really disgusting, just a disgusting way of like how they. I mean, what was that event? That wasn't a Halloween
That was
event.
Easter.
That was Easter. Oh yeah, of course. Let's just
made
do
me
that.
think of it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
I think
they
this will
did
be the
was-
last year we celebrate Halloween. Yeah. I mean, I don't even really celebrate it. I mean, I think there's, it's funny because thank you, Thea, for gifting the phone. Here we go. George Floyd 2.0. Yeah, I got something right now that I'm going to have Elon Musk. And thank you again for the cookie. Look, if you want to help out, marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Let's play Elon Musk. He's at Joe Rogan. This was a good one. This is his explanation of understanding why the government shut down and what the intent was.
Off is because if the hundreds of billions of dollars to create a financial incentive to have this giant magnet to attract illegals from every part of Earth to these states, if that is turned off, the illegals will leave because they are no longer being paid to come to the United States and stay here.
Wow.
And then they will lose a lot of voters. The Democratic Party will lose a lot of voters.
And they would have a very difficult job if this is kicked out of reintroducing it into a new bill.
Yes.
Especially once things start normalizing.
Yes. So, in a nutshell, the Democratic Party wants to destroy democracy by importing voters, and the Republican Party disagrees with that.
And the ruse is that if you don't accept what they're doing, then you're a threat to democracy.
Yes.
As they try to destroy democracy.
Yes.
By importing voters.
That is
and
literally what they're doing.
People to only vote for them, and overwhelming the system.
Yes. And by the way, it's a strategy that, if allowed to work, would work. And in fact, has worked. California is supermajority Democrat.
Yeah.
And there's so much gerrymandering that occurs. It's crazy.
Wow. It's a good illustration of everything. And then this is the last thing I wanted to play, and then we'll end the night. I saw this, and I think this is absolutely, I wanted to squeeze this in there, but this is absolutely disgusting. And if we don't fix our problems here, we're going to end up we're going to be just as bad or worse than Great Britain. A London woman calls in and cries out in desperation. We're not racist. We're petrified. What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting everyone in danger. I don't leave the house without a man. My local shop had 3 stabbings, 1 murder. My friend was murdered last year. A girl I knew was murdered in the park. I'm begging my son to leave the country. My cousin was murdered. Our friends and our family are dying. Let's listen to this.
Borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And so I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing. A lot of us feel. How many is too many?
They're pushing us.
1.
To do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never vote against their government.
Yeah.
They're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing's changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
To do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%. We agree with you every single word, and I'm so sorry. I'm sending you a big hug over the ether, and I'm sure everyone else is.
Absolutely sad, disgusting. We're that close. We're that close, ladies and gentlemen, to that type of scenario. And I have one more, and and then we'll dip
It's all
out
part
of
of the plan, Brett.
I know.
Look at Dearborn, Michigan. That place, every one of those assholes should be fucking deported.
That's exactly why everybody should be gone.
Fuck out of here.
That's exactly why. I don't care what shithole country you're from.
You want to replace us.
You shouldn't be here. If you're not taking the citizenship, you didn't come in here in the front door, paid your way through to get in like everybody else is supposed to, or you snuck in the back door under Biden or anywhere else, it's got to go. This is why Great Britain is going to have a massive civil war. I think we're in the middle of it right now, and they're going through their emotions and machinations as well. There's something going on in England. We don't know what's taking place, but they're purposely looking the other way. And I think when it gets hot and heavy here, it's going to spread. I think so. Yeah, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Listen to this. I'll drop the pills, and then we're out of here.
It seems like racist equals white, because no black man can be racist to me. If I criticize a Jew, I'm an anti-Semite. If I criticize an Islamic, I'm an Islamophobe. What are you if you criticize me? What are you if you try and replace me? What are you if you try and tell me I'm wrong for wanting to protect my children? Apparently, you're a perfectly reasonable person, but I'm a racist for wanting to protect my future. No, bullshit. I don't accept the 14 words as a thing. I think it's ridiculous that anyone could even say that they own this concept, as every human thinks this thing. Black people go on and on and on about black. Asians, Indians will tell you that India is the best at this. This is Indian, that's Indian, everything's brilliant that is Indian. Good for you.
I dropped the pills. They should be coming up. I mean, what did you think about that? I mean, you sent that to me. So, I mean, that's just
The guy.
I mean, we're having it here, but we push back because we have the right president. We have the right people in charge that are pushing back. They're saying no. And we're basically there. The difference is we have the Second Amendment and they don't. That's it. We have the Second Amendment. That stuff will go on. Will be. We have cities in Florida where the sheriffs will run them over. Call 911 after you dispatch them. That stuff doesn't happen there. They're not arresting these people. They're allowing these people to do whatever they want and get away with it because they're being forced and told to do it. Question is, who really runs England, Great Britain? Who really runs it? It ain't Keir Starmer, that's for sure. I can tell you that right now. Thank you, Thea. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your support and stuff. I dropped the pills and stuff. You were the top board here, 5.7, Wood USA 634, and Senior Apollo 500. Great questions tonight. Good commentary. I like the give and take. You guys were asking great questions. I love it. Keep it up. That's important. I mean, we're this close. We were that close to becoming that nation. And thank God right now, we're not going to be that nation. We're on our way to being something even better than what we used to be. And I do believe it's starting soon. But we're going to have to go through this undertaking. And it's going to be dramatic. It's going to be problematic. And it's going to be vicious. How long it lasts, I don't know. But it's going to take place. It has to take place. We need it to take place. It needs to what? You need to expose the rot. People need to know that we're going to have to go through this one way or another. That's it. Cut out the rot. I mean, that's it. Exercise the fat. There's nothing else we can do other than what? For everybody to see it once and for all. And maybe people will change. I don't know if there's going to be a major event that's going to cause, they'll change people's hearts and minds. How do you change people's hearts and minds when they want to kill you, Marshall? You can't. You can't.
It's a war against white people, Brett.
Yeah.
Straight up. There's just no other way. And that guy on the street in London, he's exactly right, man.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's perfect except for Whitey.
Yep.
I'm sick of this shit.
Yep.
All
We
you
all are.
fuckers blaming fucking white people for all your for all your problems. Fuck you.
Yep.
And
that's what's going to happen.
Language, but
a lot of people are going to push back because of that, and they already have pushed back. We already seen the decadence that just is rooted in our what do you call it, the EBT system and the fraud and all the waste and the abuse and how people talk when they're not getting their way. It really is sad. Yes, there'll be a Sunday show. I'll be doing it. Yes, there will be. So I want to thank everybody. Have a great weekend. Be well, be safe and stuff. Yeah, and look, I agree with you, Trump one. If you're going to do Halloween, don't make it dark. Don't make it scary. Don't make it. I like the fall and autumn thing. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I hear you completely. All right, that's a wrap for tonight. Thanks, Marshall. Thanks to everybody out there. Thank you for supporting the platform. If you want to help out, MarshallKofi.com/ServeTalk74. Be well, be safe. Ciao, Bella. Good night.
Good night.